Why does Meta never... Okay. That's a juicy one.
All the way up the hill.
Mark. Ooh.
Moral of the story is don't come fast. All right, next question. A winning product is one that's profitable.
Okay.
No shit. Hey everyone, so today I'm here with my partner, Mark Builds Brands, and we'll be answering your questions. So we gathered all the questions from YouTube, from Instagram, from different sources, and we decided to answer them in one big podcast here. We'll be answering questions on product research, mindset, Facebook ads, funnels, everything to help you guys scale your business, improve your life, make your life, and take your life to the next level. So super excited to have you here, man.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, man. So the first question here is on the product research. So I'll ask Mark first, and then I'll be adding stuff from my side as well. So what is a minimum amount of money to start a successful e-commerce brand?
Well, we live in a really special time, man. The days where you have to have a lot of capital to start up a business are basically gone because you can use organic traffic to get traffic to your store. You can set up a store on Shopify for, like $1 trial at this point. And in terms of setting up the store, there's literally no other cost that you need aside from a domain, and a domain can cost $10, $12. So all in, you're maybe $15 set back. And that's crazy because that's all the money that you need to get started. Now, is it like the most efficient way? That's up to discussion. But you can get started using completely organic traffic. And the only limit is my favorite part. The only limit is your creativity. People are posting content on TikTok, on Instagram, and getting millions of views, and the only limit is your own mind. And so if you study the top performing posts within your specific niche, and you take the philosophy behind why those hooks are performing, reverse engineer those for your own brand, and you just start posting like crazy, you can drive a lot of traffic to your store. Like I know you and I, we're big ads guys, like hence the shirt. But you can get a lot of startup capital just from going ham on organic.
100%.
And that's really, really rare. It didn't used to be like that.
Yeah, man. And it's like literally today I had a conversation with our client, Ethan. So he literally told his story. He started this organic brand on TikTok, was creating content organically, pre-ordered some inventory. He decided to do closing, which is not the best choice because it requires some initial capital investment. But he made like $20,000 in sales purely organically without spending any money on ads. And that just shows you the power of organic. Like if you create content, if you learn content, if you obsess about content, over time you become very good with content, and that's when you start making very good money. And then you can transfer those skills with content creation to the paid side. So let's say you have a post that organically did very well, like you can just amplify it with ads and just skyrocket your sales.
Yeah, there's a lot of principles that are, psychology is psychology at the end of the day. There's a lot of principles that you can take from putting out really good organic content that goes viral and then take the same psychology of why it did well, transfer that to paid, give that a test and see how it does. It doesn't mean that every organic piece of content that goes viral is like guaranteed to perform. But again, it's all about psychology. It's just a different way that you're hooking people.
100%. Second question here is, what is the best way to find good suppliers?
I think this is a big misunderstanding for people, honestly. People are always trying to find an obstacle before it's actually created in reality. You and I both know if you find a product and you start selling that product, you can source it. Like if you have the right connections, if you know the right companies, you can source a product. So I want to urge everybody watching this, don't create obstacles in your mind before they actually exist. Sell the product first. Like I remember this when I was starting out. I was doing all this research on suppliers, like hours upon hours upon hours. I'd go and test the product, and it would lose me like $300. And I'd be like, well, good thing I did all that fucking supplier research. I have 0 orders to ship out. Thank God,
Yeah, man. It's such a good point because people use that as an excuse of not taking action. Right? It's like, hey, what are you doing? What are you working on? Oh, I'm working on my business. What are you doing? Oh, I'm researching suppliers. And so they might be doing that for days instead of just like testing the product, seeing the product actually sells, and then finding a supplier. And by the way, we are giving away the list of suppliers. We're literally giving it away. We'll even attach it here below this video. list of suppliers that we have worked with for years. They'll not scam you. They'll ship your orders on time. They'll give you good prices. You can brand the products if you want to turn your store into a real brand. Like they will ship them also pretty fast. Like within like 7 to 10 days, they'll be in the United States if you're selling to US market. And all of that is so accessible, so you don't even have to like overthink it.
I also think, man, that when you get into dropshipping, nobody really tells you this, that there's kind of a spectrum of suppliers where if you're just starting out, you're not quite at the level where you can use an agent because you typically have to be doing like 15 to 20 orders a day. So what do you do from 0 to 15 orders a day? And, you know, for us, we refer people to a few people like Zendrop is a solid, you know, supplier that we've used before. CJ Dropshipping, pretty solid. A lot of these companies, they can source almost any product. That's why I say, like, don't create, you know, obstacles before they exist in reality. But after you do that initial section of like 15 to 20 orders a day, then you can move to an agent, right? Honestly, anybody can reach out to us and we'll make the connection to an agent. You know, we have nothing to sell. It's just like we want you to get results. So if you're at that level, you can always reach out to us like on Instagram. But after that level, like you go from just regular drop shipping to like using a sourcing agent, and then it goes into like the 3PL, ordering stock, holding it in a warehouse, and shipping out with like the fastest shipping times possible. But there's stages, right? You don't go straight to a 3PL because that's a tremendous amount of risk. You don't know if you can sell the stock. And you also don't go straight to a sourcing agent, right? So you go from like stage 1, which is just, you know, you can use CJ or Zendrop, then stage 2, which is the agent, and then stage 3, which is the 3PL. Next question. What platform would you say you run the most ads on?
I mean, we're running most ads on Facebook. Shout out to Mark Zuckerberg. Thank you so much for an amazing platform. We made a lot of money on Facebook. But, you know, there's also great platforms where we run ads like Google, TikTok. Those are just like lower scale for us.
So how about like if there's a beginner and they're wondering, should I go like Facebook ads, TikTok ads, Google ads, whatever the fuck ads? Like what would you recommend to like a complete beginner?
And I would just choose one platform and just master it. That's it. I mean, you can master all these platforms simultaneously. But one thing that I would consider is that, for instance, if you're good with content, if you're good with creative, if you're sitting like on TikTok 3 hours a day, like you're organically kind of like consuming content and you like that style, then probably TikTok will be a great choice for you. If you are a more analytical person, if you like the data, then probably Facebook will be the best for you. And also Facebook has the most amount of scale. You can scale to $100,000 a day in Facebook. So in terms of scalability, that is the best one.
Yeah, and I think the algorithm sophistication is something to keep in mind too. You know, TikTok, you can potentially get to profitability a little bit faster. That's definitely not a hard rule. But you know, think about how long Facebook ads have been around versus TikTok ads. Facebook ads, I believe, started in 2016, and that algorithm became very sophisticated very quickly. I think they're the first ads platform to really have the idea of like a pixel and like gathering data and using machine learning to become more sophisticated at finding your buyers. TikTok, on the other hand, hasn't had their ad platform around for as long, right? It's like if you were to go start running ads on Twitter, for example, same kind of thing is going to happen. It's just not quite as sophisticated. There's going to be more bugs on the platform. However, that could be an advantage as well, like first mover's advantage. It's a competitive advantage I talk about a lot. You know, if there's a new ad platform that pops up, I know damn well me and you are going to be on that platform like that.
100%. And yeah, you would have to look at it like, let's say TikTok, from the organic algorithm, it's the best. It's by far, I mean, they refine it so well. From the paid advertising standpoint, they kind of like trying to catch up with Facebook. Facebook, on the other side, the organic algorithm is trying to catch up with TikTok. But then on the paid side, they're a lot more sophisticated because that's their main business. That's how they make money. So choose a platform that kind of like fits your skill set and you'll be doing very well.
Yeah, there's not really a right or wrong answer here, guys. You know, it's choose which one aligns with what you're best at already. So if you have a great habit of doom scrolling on TikTok, you know, TikTok could be a good option to get started on.
For sure. So next question is, what do you think of manifestation? Like, did you manifest everything that you have in your life? Did you manifest it? Did you think about it? Like, did you visualize? Like, did you see that through like years before it happened?
I'm going to tell you a story. When I was 20 years old, I was really aggressive about setting goals. Meaning, I would wake up, like sleep schedule super dialed, fitness dialed, everything super dialed in. I'd wake up, first thing I'd do is meditate 10 minutes. And when I was meditating, I'd be visualizing myself making the money that I want to make and actually feeling the emotions of making that money. I did that every single day for like months and months on end. And then I did the same thing right before bed. Right before bed, again, that meditative state. I'm saying, I'm saying my affirmations, how much money I'm going to make, visualizing it, feeling it. And I did this for a period of about 6 months. That 6-month period, I made the least amount of money I think I've ever made in my entire life. And so that's not to say I don't believe in manifestation. I actually do. But there's two really important rules. Number one is manifestation works, but only if you get off your fucking ass and do the work, right? Nobody, like the Think and Grow Rich thing, even Napoleon Hill, who came up with Think and Grow Rich, there's a chapter in there that's called Specialized Knowledge. And that's, even if you have the desire, even if you have the unwavering faith that you're going to make all this money, if you don't follow it up with action, doesn't mean anything. I mean, that's the first part. And the second part is there's no replacement for getting extremely skilled at something that makes you a lot of money. So maybe that's copywriting, maybe that's media buying, maybe that's even something like video editing, I think is a pretty high value skill if you position it correctly. Like video editing VSLs, for example. We know some editors that'll charge like $2,000 for like editing a VSL. So there's no substitute for that. No spiritual law will ever put you above the work. And just because you want to be that spiritual guy, the guy that is manifesting his way to success, it's all real. It's all real, but only if you do the work and actually do it the right way, the smart way, where you're prioritizing skill sets. And if you do all that, I believe with time, it'll all fall into place. The other interesting thing, real quick, about manifestation, it never works in the timeline that you expect it.
That's exactly what I wanted to add it. Like it's like you might manifest something and you want obviously everything to happen very fast. But I remember my goals that I was setting up for myself. And at the beginning, like I wasn't even like, I lived back in Ukraine. I was broke as fuck, didn't have any skills, didn't even speak English. And I was setting all of these goals, and they felt like surreal. And it took me like 5 good years to achieve those goals, right? That's like, so I might have wanted them to happen like tomorrow, but you have to consider that, like you said, with accumulation of the skills, all of that process takes time. Like it takes time to become good at anything. So if you want to become good at like copywriting, like video editing, like content creation, media buying, any of these skills that can like transform your life, becoming good at those skills and becoming master, becoming like top 1% of all people that are doing that particular skill takes time. And that's one thing to take into consideration. So it works, but it works on a delayed timeline.
Yeah. It never happens when you want. The universe is really funny in that way. Because when I was doing that visualization, it was all these super short, aggressive time frames. Like, I'm going to make like $50,000. I was making like basically nothing. I was like, I'm going to make $50,000 a month in 3 months. And I was like such an ambitious guy that I really believed that I could do that. But again, it's just a funny way the universe works. If you set your mind on anything more long-term, you're just so much more likely to actually achieve that thing. Plus, my issue is that I was attaching my identity and my self-worth to achieving those goals. And I would fail and fail and fail and fail. And then I just felt worse and worse and worse about myself because my whole identity was tied up in, am I achieving my goals? So if anything, you should focus all your attention, energy, and identity on the inputs. What can you actually control? Because if you focus on that and you have this, 5-year goal, for example, to make whatever money you want to make, I would much rather bet on that person accomplishing that goal than the guy that's like, I'm going to grind for 6 months and start making $1 million a month. Like, it just doesn't work like that. It doesn't work the way that you want it to. All right, next question. I don't like the life I'm currently living. How do I build a life I truly want to live?
Well, I mean, you are where you are because of the choices you've made or because of circumstances that life gave you. Like, we're not choosing the country we're born in. We're not choosing the family we're born in. We're not choosing, like, if we're born in functional or dysfunctional families. And some of the things are outside of our control. But then the moment you decide to take action and you start putting some inputs to change your life, like we talked about previously, there's delayed kind of path to get where you want to be. That might take time, but that is all within your power. So if you don't like where you are right now, you are empowered to change it. Like I was empowered to change my life, you were empowered to change your life, right? We just made that deliberate choice, and we decided to commit for years and years and years on a path to change it. And so, and also like you said, we're living a beautiful time right now where technology is accessible. Starting the business is very easy. There's so many business opportunities as long as you're willing to put in the work and grind. And you are empowered to change your life. So if you don't like it right now, you have to commit to the path of changing it, and you have to accept it that it will take time. It won't happen overnight. And that's what people expect. People getting into the business is saying, oh, it's like I start a business within 1 month, I'll be making money, like I'll be millionaire like in a few months or in a few weeks. That doesn't happen. And people quickly get disappointed. But if you accept that, okay, I'm on this path, in a few years, my life will look completely different if I start putting the work in every single day. In a few years, I mean, you'll be asking a different question here. It's like, hey, how do I take my business from 10 million to 100 million?
I think that every man has two lives. And the second one begins when he realizes that nobody is coming to save him. I think there's a lot of people watching this right now that are looking for reasons to justify why they're in the situation that they're in. Could be their parents, could be their spouse, their girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. At the end of the day, it's all on you. All of it. Every decision, even if it was something that's like quote unquote outside of your control, it's still on you. Like I take it to that extreme. And once you realize that, there's a lot of power in that too, because you realize that if everything is your fault, now everything is also fully within your control. You can actually take the actions to change your environment. For example, one thing that I believe really heavily in is intentionally putting yourselves in situations of discomfort where there's no safety net. So when I dropped out of college, I was making reasonably good money, and I had a period of time where my business stopped really growing, and it actually started losing me money every month. And during this time, I was just looking at my bank account, and it was just going down and down and down. And there was a point where I was like, I'm not going to be able to pay rent if I don't figure the shit out by the end of the month. And I knew that intentionally. When I dropped out of college, I was like, there's no other way. There's no other way. There's no safety net. I can't go back and live with anybody else. If I don't make the money I want to make, I'm going to be evicted out of my place. And I think if you put yourself in that situation, you're never thinking about like procrastination. You're never thinking about like, oh, I really want to do this, but I'm not motivated. My motivation was getting evicted. Like the whole like, oh, I got to get my 8 hours of sleep. That was the last fucking thing on my mind.
Oh, maybe you should do cold plunge in the morning.
Exactly, right? That would have fixed everything. But when you put yourself in those situations, you force yourself to grow. Because growth is not comfortable. It's really uncomfortable. And it's really hard for you to like, push yourself to do that. So I just decided, fuck it. I'm just going to forcibly put myself in a situation that mandates growth. There's no other way to go. Like either I have the worst situation in my life, I'm evicted, I got no money, I'm fucking homeless, or I actually pull through and make something of myself. So I'm personally a fan of that. It's not for everybody. It's a little intense, and it is super stressful. But I think it gets the best out of you. Like the best characteristics, the best growth, the best character development comes in those times where it's just fucking dark, man. And there's no way out. And
every successful entrepreneur, like you read any like biographies, autobiographies, like every successful entrepreneur either was like bankruptcy, close to bankruptcy. Some of them had multiple bankruptcies. Like, so all of them have been through all of those stages where they pushed everything to the limit. And at those points, they found like new strength in themselves. They evolved into a different version of themselves. And that's why they're successful. They continue evolving year over year.
Yeah, I think entrepreneurship, it's not just about making the most amount of money as possible. It's a journey of personal growth and development. Because you learn so much about yourself during those times. Like, do you learn more about yourself when everything's good? It's all fucking sunshine and rainbows? Or do you learn more about yourself when you're in the trenches, you're dark, there's nobody to help you, nobody coming to save you, the most difficult situation in your life. If you're in that position right now, you're going to look back on that in a few years and be like, I would never trade that for anything, because that makes you who you are today. I would not be who I am today if I didn't go through the shit that I went through. And the same is true with you, right?
100%.
So it's hard to have perspective, when you're in like the shitstorm, but the shitstorm's going to come either way. Like, you can go through it with a smile on your face or not. It's totally up to you.
And actually loving this, right? If you love the challenge, if you love the grind, it's like, I mean, when you go to the gym, I go to the gym, I'm really looking forward to pain. I'm really fucking looking forward to those like few last like reps where you're like dying and like, you just like squeezing that out. And that trains your mindset. That's why gym is so powerful and so helpful in developing the character, developing the discipline, because you're actually looking forward to pain. And life is pain. There will be a lot of pain. Like some of that pain you'll create yourself. Some of that pain will be caused by other people. Some of that pain will be totally unforeseen circumstances that you cannot even control. But like if you're looking forward to that pain, and if you're taking that pain and you're becoming better from the pain, like that is a true freedom. All right, so the next question is, I want to get started, but I'm scared I'm going to lose money.
So fear is not real. That's something that I believe. I think that fear is a mechanism that is installed in us evolutionarily over thousands and millions of years of us developing. And originally it was installed for our physical survival. So if there's literally a predator in front of us, we have the sense of fear to force us into action. However, as we've evolved over the past thousands of years, we are no longer in the situation that our physical safety is actually in danger. So the fear most of the times is just created in our mind through like anxiety and stress and shit like that. And so I don't believe that fear is real. I believe that there's physical danger, which very, very, very rarely are people actually in physical danger. And then there's discomfort. And so what you think is fear usually is actually a sense of perceived future discomfort. You don't want yourself to go to this place of discomfort because it's going to be uncomfortable. Your body's not going to like it. Your mind's not going to like it. The reality is every successful human being has been at that point where they're standing in front of a chasm, in front of a canyon, and they have that feeling in their stomach of fear. The difference between those that are successful is they have courage. They know that sense of discomfort is there, and they still willingly throw themselves into the fire. Willingly. And if that's not you, success isn't for everybody. I mean, you can sit back and say, like, I'm scared to do this. But at the end of the day, there's other people that are in your position that still feel that sense of fear. And they say, fuck it, I'm going to do it anyways. And if that's not you, then you just got to take a hard fucking look in the mirror. Answer some difficult questions about yourself. Namely, you're fucking soft.
And it's like, yeah, like you said, entrepreneurship is not for everyone. It's like, if you think about from this perspective, let's say you are, I don't know, you want to spend like $10,000 to start a business, right? And you're afraid, you're scared, you have fear, right? Or discomfort. Why? Because you know that you would have to put in a lot of fucking work to make it happen. And maybe you don't believe that you will follow through with all that work that you'd have to do. And that's why you're justifying to yourself, oh, I don't want to start a business, it's a scam. Oh, it's saturated. Oh, there's no opportunity. Oh, it's too competitive. And so now you're trying to make all of these excuses for you not taking action, because you'll know that with that investment or with that choice that you're making, other choices will have to be made. And like you said, you'd have to look yourself in the mirror. It's like, how badly do I want it? Do I really want to make it happen? And especially, for most people, like most people are not happy where they are in life. Most people are not happy with amount of money they're making, their relationships. There's so many different things people are not happy about it, but they're kind of like putting it under the rug, right? And they have these choices to either invest in their business, change their relationship, change, whatever they want in their life. Even going to the gym is uncomfortable. It's like, yeah, you have to commit to the gym. You have to pay for the membership. You have to show up. You have to do the exercises. You have to put your body through strained, like fucking work that makes you uncomfortable and sore the next fucking day. And then most people are like, yeah, kind of, yeah. And then they're trying to justify it with some other reasons why they shouldn't do it. And most people don't do anything. That's why most New resolutions, people drop them off. Most people start Shopify stores. How many of them are successful? Most people test one product or not even one product. Most people never even open the Shopify stores. But if you have the deep motivation, after working with, we work with so many, like thousands of clients at this point, right? And I see these common threads between all of them. People that have like deeper reason why, they follow through. If you only want to do it because, I wanna buy like a Lamborghini, or I want to buy like whatever, right? Just do it for like materialistic things, and there's no deeper reason why. Like for example, retiring their parents, helping their family, setting up their kids financially, like something that's bigger than them, helping and impacting other people. If there is no bigger reason than that, then all of these kind of like surface level like excuses will just stop you from doing stuff. But if you have that, you'll follow through, because inevitably, and we're very straightforward, like business is not easy. You'll have some hard moments. You had your hard moments. I have my hard moments, like still have them. Like fucking every month there's fucking something happening. We're following through because we know that the bigger picture, the bigger reason is so important, then nothing else between us here and our goal is important, and we're just following through. So think about, reflect on yourself. Like, why do you want to make money? It's like, why do you want to make money? Like, what will change in your life? Okay, you're making the money you want. Like, what will happen? Like, you'll blow it on, just go to clubs. Like, you'll just waste it, or you'll do something impactful, impact other people, and that is your deeper drive. And so, just think all the people that are successful, they all have that bigger reason why, and that's what pushes them through all these kind of, mind battles.
All right, next question. To be as efficient as possible and test as much as possible, do you prefer image or video ads?
Both can work great, but it depends on the product. Like if you're selling, let's say, jewelry product or clothing product, you can get away with image ads. But if you're selling a gadget, if you're selling, let's say, skincare product that it requires more explanation about the unique mechanism, how is your product, let's say you're selling a skincare product, how is your skincare product different from 3,000 other skincare products that people can buy, either in the store or online, sold by other sellers on Amazon? So you really have to explain that, and video is the best means of communicating the value of that product. So that's my perspective. In our business, we're using both images and videos. They all work great in combination. Images work great for the retargeting, kind of like getting people over the line, tackle some objections, giving them some extra reason, discounts, payment options, whatever, just to get them over the line. But if we're selling more complex products, videos work better.
I think a good rule of thumb is, if I were to see this product on an image ad, would I know exactly how it works and what it can do for me? Because if the answer is no, then video ads are going to be a necessity for you. Like, if you can put a product on an ad and you're kind of confused when you look at it, like, what actually is this? Then obviously you need to do video ads. I think that personally I prefer video ads because there's so much more that you can do. Like image ads, still the creative is going to be the most important, but the copy is also tremendously more important than that of a video ad. So like a video ad, most of the copy is like the creative copy itself that holds a lot of the weight, like scripting the ad. But on images, you can have a standard image and write like long form direct response copy, like in the primary text. I have a friend of mine who runs the ads for this really successful supplement company. They do like $100 million a year. They only run images, only for supplements. But the copy is very long. It's like long form ad text, but it's all just like traditional direct response style copy. So I love stuff like that. Most people never figure out how to really crack long form copy. So I see that as a really big advantage for us because we know how to do that really well. For that reason, videos are still my favorite, like writing VSLs and whatnot, but they do both work at the end of the day by far. It does depend on the product.
100%. And one of our clients, Moxie, he's in ESS, in Get Hooked program right now, and he does $2 million a month, right, which is decent. And he's running image ads exclusively. And he's selling skincare products. But he has very good advertorials and funnels, right? So you have to think about it, like you said, what is enough information for the customer to make a purchasing decision, and whether you do that information through ad copy that is long form, or you do that through long form funnel with advertorial, with good unique mechanisms, nice images, before and after, stuff like that to like really sell your product. You have to see what combination works the best for you. But like from the customer perspective, customer always goes first. What is enough information for them to make that purchasing decision? And you can communicate it through like different ways. Besides that, just using competitive tools and seeing like, okay, if like 25 of my competitors are all using videos and using VSLs, for instance, or using UGC content, like I'll probably try to model that at least at the beginning to see kind of like establish the baseline, get some initial momentum, get my business to at least, a few $100,000 a month, and then scale up from there. All right, so the next question here is how many ads do you do per product?
On an initial product test, I think 3 ads is enough to get general idea of the data. And I would even do the same body and just 3 hooks because as you know, the hook is like 90% of your success on Facebook at the creative level. If you get the hook wrong, then everything else is worthless. So having hooks is extremely important. But, think about it this way. When you test a product, you're trying to get data on the offer as a whole, which is the ads, the messaging, the creative, the targeting, the lander, the conversion rates, the AOV. I don't even have enough fucking fingers to continue counting. Like, there's a lot. And so you never want to think of testing a product on Facebook or TikTok. You never want to think of it as losing money because you're really just buying data. So if you do test those 3 ads, there's going to be always one that stands out over the others. Maybe it's in terms of just CPC and CTR, like ad side metrics, or in terms of your conversions and your return on ad spend for that particular ad. And once you find that, that's data you just bought. And so you can understand that this ad now is one that specifically resonates with my market that I'm going after. And so then I would cut the other 2 and then launch, 2 or 3 more variations of that one that are more closely related to that angle, that hook that won in the first place. So maybe there's something about the hook specifically that resonates with the market more than the other ones that you tested. So it's like test, you're just throwing a bunch of shit against the wall, like one thing is going to stick. You'd be like, okay, what was it about that one thing that allowed it to stick and be successful? And then you create derivatives based off that one thing. And that's the process of running ads, right? It's very rare that you just test something and you test a bunch of ads and like everything works like on the first launch. It's very, very, very rare, if ever, does that happen. But you get data. You get data on the angles that are resonating most, data on your conversion rates in your funnel, and all of those should be used to launch again and relaunch. And eventually you're going to get to the point where you've bought so much data, you know exactly what messaging to use, you know exactly what creatives to use, you know the exact targeting to use, and you know the best way to convert people on your funnel. So that's why we say you don't lose money, you buy data. That's really how that system works.
100%. And also different stages of the business. So this is for the like initial launch, right? And kind of getting that initial momentum. One of the biggest mistakes I see entrepreneurs are making is that they stop testing ads and they stop evaluating this data. I talked with so many entrepreneurs like on Instagram. It's like, oh, I have this like one winning ad, but it stopped working. Of course it will stop working at some point. You can never stop testing new ads, new variations, even exploring new angles. Like we always allocate 10-20% of our budget to test totally different angles, totally different concepts, right? So once you get your business to initial momentum, let's say a few $100,000 a month in sales, if you want to scale your business to millions of dollars per sales, that will come to the quality of your creative team, how many new concepts, new angles, like whether you're innovating with your formats, with your images, with your videos, like whether you continue kind of like feeding that beast, because you have to realize that at some point, everything will stop working. And even if you had like very successful ad, at some point, you just, everyone has seen that ad. Like you literally showed that ad like 3 times to every person who could potentially buy your product. And so it will stop working. And so just having that mindset of like never stop testing. And whether, like you said, with funnels, with ads, like you should be consistently thinking about like new ideas, new concepts, new angles, how you can be more creative and how you can beat your competition. Because if you're testing, let's say, 5 ads per week and your competition is testing 30 ads per week, and they're deliberate about it, and they're reading their data, and you're also reading their data, just because of the pure volume, like they will beat you over time. They'll be able to spend more money on ads. They'll acquire more customers. Your customers will transition to them because they'll see their ads more often, and you will lose. So it's never-ending process of testing, refining, evaluating, analyzing the data, and you have to take into consideration that, I mean, markets change. Like the ads that worked like 4 years ago, like we were running such like simple ads, like basic fucking ads, and they were working and they were crushing, right? Now those ads are not even like, they can't even compete on the same level because like, yeah, scripts are not that good, footage is not that good, images are not that good, like they can't even compete on the same level. So you have to just be in the mindset of like constant growth and evolution, and marketing creative ads is one of the biggest levels you can pull in your business.
All right, next question. How do you find a new marketing angle that has unlimited scaling potential?
That's a juicy one. So I love this question. So, I mean, angles come from the research. Most people are mediocre marketers. Most people are mediocre entrepreneurs. And if you don't want to be a mediocre entrepreneur, then you have to do more research than other people. And the way you do research is you go on Amazon reviews, you see what are the reviews about the product, what people are complaining about. Like, let's say you want to sell like a skin cream, and everyone is complaining that the skin cream is not working for, I don't know, let's say women after like pregnancy, right? Like they use it for some reason, doesn't work for them, causes allergic reactions for whatever reason. Cool, that could be your angle. You go to forums, you see these like massive responses from women like, oh, so I've tried this product, I tried this, and this. And so now you see like that could be an angle that you use. Also, an angle could be one of the ingredients in your product. You can wrap your whole marketing about, let's say your product has like a special ingredient that like does all of this like magic to people. And the reason like all of the other products they have tried before didn't work because they don't have this one special ingredient, and also not just this ingredient, but in sufficient quantity. And that's why nothing else worked for them, right? You have to think about it from the competitive standpoint, and also from the point that people have seen so many different products, because like anyone can launch ads with Facebook, right? You go to a retail store, you see hundreds of options of products to buy. What are other options people are buying right now? What is competitive advantage of my product, and how can I position my product as something different that people have not seen before, or go after like very specific like women after pregnancy, let's say, or women after 50, 65-year-old man and older, right? So after like very specific demographic to help them with very specific condition, and that's how you create like an angle that you'll be able to scale.
Yeah, I agree. I think research is very important. If you're starting out, the next best thing that you can do, actually, I would argue this is even better than research, or maybe just a type of research, but how many entrepreneurs do you know and speak to that actually speak to their customers? Just about zero. Approximately less than one. And that's the best type of feedback you can get. If you ask the right questions to your customers, and you simply ask the question, why did you buy this over something else? What other better source of research can you get than getting it from the words of the people that are buying your shit in the first place? That's the best source of information you can possibly get. And it could just take one small little idea from one of your customers that gives you a completely new angle that you can use in your marketing. And so if you're not doing that, at the very least, at least poll your customers, but I think it's better to actually call them and speak to them on the phone. There's a lot that you can learn from these really large now startup companies. One of my favorites is the story of how Airbnb got started. So when Airbnb had their first initial batch of users, it was the two co-founders, and they went to go meet with one of their investors, who was the founder of Y Combinator. And the guy asked, he's like, so where are your customers? And they're like, what do you mean? Like they're on the internet? He's like, no, like where are they? They're like, well, we have like some in New York. I guess like mostly in New York. And he's like, so why are you still here? And so he was telling them to go to your customers. And so what they would do is they would literally go knock on the doors of the Airbnb users and just have a conversation with them. And like they would be invited in, and they learn all the stuff about what they love about Airbnb. And the cool part is that, especially if you're running a brand that's in the early stages, that's like one of the only times that you can really do that. You know, when you start scaling, you're going to be busy as fuck. You don't have time to talk to your customers when you only have like 10 of them or 100 of them. So if you're starting out, you're at a really, really unique time. And, you know, we're growing a business together right now, right? And we are speaking to these customers. We're having conversations. We won't be able to do that forever. And this is the time where it's most important. So using that as angles to fuel your marketing is something I don't see a lot of people do. Like, you have this information, as long as you collect it, you know, within a compliant manner. You have your customers' phone numbers. Give them a call. Probably don't show up to their door, but give them a call and ask why they bought. What did you like about the product? What didn't you like about the product? What made you go with this over the competitor? In a perfect world, what would this product do for you? And if you get all those little data points, each one of those can be a new angle that you can test. And guess who's not doing that? All of your competitors. So it's just immediately just a bunch of really high quality angles that you can get just from something that takes you like 60 seconds to do.
And one of the questions, this is phenomenal. One of the other questions you can ask is like people ask me all the time. It's like, oh, I have this brand and it's doing pretty well, and I'm thinking what other products I should add to my business. And I'm like, okay, so what your customers say? What other products they're buying currently? So, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Just ask them, right? One of the questions, okay, so you bought our product, phenomenal. Thank you so much for that. What other products you're also buying to solve like X, Y, and Z problem? It's like, oh, I'm buying this product from this company. And okay, so why do you like that product? It does X, Y, and Z. Okay, so that could be potential new product idea for you to expand your product line and scale even farther. And also in terms of collecting angles, one of the things that we do is we're evaluating the customer tickets. So for example, you know, one of our brands was selling like hair growth products. And one of the questions was like, does this work for Asian women? Because all of our models, all of our content creators are Caucasian, some are Latinos, some are Afro-Americans. We don't have any Asian. Okay, maybe you should add it, right? Because maybe the product doesn't even resonate, even photography on the website. So because the product helps them as well, and we have customers that are buying and not asking that question, but how many customers didn't buy the product because it had that assumption that it doesn't work for them specifically? Oh, does it work for women over 60? Okay, so now it's another angle. So you already have the data, and if you're running ads, you already have the data. Your comments, people asking specific questions, that could turn into an angle, that could turn into like freaking last question and answer. So you tackle that objection before it even happens. You can integrate it into copy. Like, you can make the product more universal. If you're not grabbing some portion of the audience, some portion of the demographics, you can demonstrate that this works for all of those demographics that you're going after. But sometimes, you know, we assume that people know something about their product and what it does, but we don't properly communicate it. And if we don't communicate it, people don't know, and that causes, you know, lower conversion rate, because those people just go to the website, they don't find the information they found about the product. It's like, I'll look into this later, and they never come back. So the next question is, I've tested 50 new creatives since my ads dropped off and been struggling to profit. Thoughts?
So 2 thoughts. There's a really good quote. I believe it's from Alex Hormozy. And he says, do more, and when more stops working, do better. And when better stops working, do something new. So you're at the stage where you have done more. 50 creatives is a good amount. If you haven't made any progress after 50 creatives, there's something fucking wrong with the creatives. The creatives are not good. But I want to clarify, because maybe it's that the creatives are not good, but you have to isolate what the real root cause is, right? Maybe your creatives actually are good, but the economics of your funnel are terrible. Like, your AOV is just marginally higher than your front-end product price. There's no economics. You don't have the upsells in place. You don't have order bumps in place, quantity discounts. You don't have email and SMS. You don't have retargeting. Like, there's a lot that goes into it. Maybe your CPA is not that bad, but just because your funnel is not structured properly for profitability and for scale, you know, the creative may not be the problem. I have some friends that their CPA, if we're running like an identical product, their CPA is better than mine. Oftentimes. But what are you competing on? A lot of times we are competing on funnel and economics, and we can have a higher CPA and still kick your ass because every customer that comes in is significantly more valuable. So for you, man, what I would say is you have to identify what is the variable that is actually causing you to be unprofitable. Is it the creatives? If it is, like the only problem is that your creatives aren't fucking good enough. There's no other way around it. Like maybe it's your targeting, but if you haven't really changed that, which you probably haven't, it's most likely your creatives. And if it's not that, maybe it's a funnel issue. Maybe it is an economics issue. What is your AOV? What's the difference between your AOV and the price of the product that you're selling? Identify the real root cause of the problem. And like one of the biggest mistakes that I think entrepreneurs can make is they try to solve a problem that's not the real root cause of the problem.
Such a good point. I mean, the only consideration there could be, and like every time when we see like, let's say decline in performance, or I check some ad account and I see like performance just goes to shit. One of the first things I'm checking, like, do you have any competitors that sell very similar products, but they have either better funnel economics or they just have better ads? And that's very often that's the case. So someone might be just like destroying you at the creative game, which means again, like your creatives might not be good enough, like you said. And another like consideration there is like how on a bigger picture, on a bigger like scheme of things, how is your product different from any other products? Like, okay, let's say there's 50 people selling back pain gadget, back pain relief gadget. They're all like modeling each other, swiping each other, copying each other. Like they all sell similar products, sourcing from the same supplier probably. And so how is your product any different, right? You basically all kind of like in this like little pocket, all like fighting for these crumbles, instead of like thinking outside of the box and like, okay, how can I position my product differently? Can I position my product for a different demographic? Can I add some unique mechanism to my product and do a better research so that the overall like distinction of your product versus their products is a lot more clear? It's not like, oh, this is another one of these like back pain gadgets. No, like throw away all of the other gadgets you bought before because this is the fucking thing. Competing and understanding how to, and you can see like Coca-Cola versus Pepsi, right? Like they play these games like bigger brands, massive brands, like Hertz versus Avis, right? Like Avis was like number 2 all the time, and they turned that into their competitive advantage. They said like, we're number 2, so we always try harder. You remember this marketing campaign?
Yeah.
You can always turn like your disadvantage into your advantage. Like guys fighting in UFC. I mean, if the guy is short, right, he can't like reach the other guy. I mean, he would have to fucking wrestle. He would have to, he would have to find another advantage. So think about business as this competitive landscape where you are against all of the other fucking people. They probably have access to the same like suppliers, products. But what differentiates and what will give you the competitive edge, what will give your business back to profitability is creativity. Creativity on the ad level of your business overall, like differentiation, and your funnel economics.
All right, next question. If there's no add to carts or initiate checkouts with a good product page, does this mean low desire for the angle or product in the market?
I would want to see the product page.
That's what I was thinking
right?
too.
I would want to see the product page, how good it is. With ads, I'm always thinking like there's 2 types of ads. Like when people advertising products, sometimes you get the curiosity clicks. You get something weird and then people click. I mean, you might see some of these ads on native and, some of these like big news outlets. And so they just get you to click, but then they have tremendous advertorials, tremendous funnels to get you into the buying state, like sell you on the problem that you're having, the solution that they're offering, how it's different from all of the other solutions that are available on the market. And so, I mean, it's so hard to fix these kind of problems like through the answer because I don't see all the metrics, right? We would look like at the ad account, we'd look at the pages. Okay, what is the product? How it's positioned? How it's differentiated from other people in the market that are selling similar product? How you talk to your customers? Do you talk in like ChatGPT kind of like corporate level, or do you talk with like very specific language that really resonates with people and shows that your product, you're really like resonating with your customers in terms of communicating the problem they're having, the solution they're looking for, the dream outcome, and communicating that both through your ads and through your product page. So only then I would make if you do that and it doesn't work, then it's like, yeah, there's something's off here. But let's say if your competitors are successfully selling this product somehow, right? They have, their ads converting, their product pages, like everything's working, and you're modeling them and something doesn't work, then, I think you have to do some more research and reevaluate how good your assets are.
I think it's a really good lesson, actually, because I've built landing pages, especially when I was starting out, and I was like, this is a fucking masterpiece. Like, this is beautiful. Like, I'm going to fucking print as soon as I turn on ads for this thing. And then I turn on the ads, and it performs terribly. Like, sometimes no add to carts, initiate checkout, sometimes just, a few, but nothing is within KPI. Number one, as an entrepreneur, your judgment is usually horrible, usually terrible. Like, if you look at an ad or a landing page, you're like, oh, this looks beautiful, this is probably going to do well. It's probably not going to do well. There's a funny phrase that we use that's, ugly ads, pretty profits, or ugly landing pages, pretty profits, right? And oftentimes that is true. Like, what converts is not always the most aesthetic, beautiful looking Mona Lisa type fucking page. Oftentimes the ugly ones do convert. But for you specifically, man, I would keep this in mind, because if your ad is doing its job and the ad metrics are within KPI, then there is that interest in the product, right? That's where the interest and desire is initially created, is on the ad level. It's not the landing page level. Somehow they have to get to the lander, and that's through the ad. And so if those metrics are good and you're not getting what Alex said, which is curiosity clicks, and you're not like baiting people into click, like they know what they're going to look at when they land on this landing page, then the reality of the situation is your landing page is not nearly as good as you think it is. Your product page is just not as good as you think, which that is a humbling statement for sure, but one that every successful entrepreneur I think has had before. When you create a page that looks really good and just doesn't convert. And that's fine. If you want to move on to another product because of that, so be it. But as long as you have everything set up, like I said, the reality is that your lander is probably not as good as you think it is.
All right, so the next question is, should I slightly lower prices during new product tests to give Facebook more conversion data?
I understand the philosophy of why. So for those that don't understand, obviously the pixel functions off of data, and the more data that you can feed it, the better. So if you lower your product price, you can potentially lower your CPA and get more data faster, and then you can raise your price with the low CPA staying the same. But a lot of the things, especially when it comes to Facebook, where you try to kind of game the algorithm that way, it just never really turns out the way that you want it. Because if you're looking for the customer, let's say you're selling at $50 initially, but for the testing you drop to like $30. Number one, your margins are going to be fucked from day one. Like, if you're selling the same product for less, not only is your positioning terrible because you're now like the discount fucking Walmart of dropshippers, which is never good long term. But number two, as you scale, you're going to have to raise your prices again eventually, and the CPA is going to come right back up. Usually it's not the case where you can lower the price and like try to hack the CPA down, and then when you raise it, like the CPA will just magically stay the same. I don't think I've ever really seen that, because marginal price increases don't have a large impact on the CPA, dropping it by like $5 or something. But if you bring it up to like $10, $15, $20, then it starts to have a bigger impact. So it's one of those things where you're trying to hack the algorithm, which some things there's validity to, but a lot of the stuff that works in theory with Facebook just does not work in reality.
I would flip the script here, and what I would focus on more is, can you sell the product at the same price, but can you improve the offer? What other things can you give the customer for free to make that product a fucking no-brainer? Can you give them like a free $1 product, like cost you $1, but increases the perceived value? Give them like 2 ebooks, give them some checklist, give them some templates, like just give them like expedited shipping. Pack that offer so much with your current price that it's like, shit, I mean, this is like no brainer. Even like, yeah, it's a little bit higher, but like now you're not just like competing on your product, because let's say you find the product on Shopify, or like someone advertising the product, you can probably always find a cheaper version on Amazon, right? So that is a race to the bottom. But then like what makes that real is that you're comparing apples to apples. So you're comparing, let's say, skincare cream to skincare cream. What if it's not just a skincare cream? What if it's an applicator, like a small like gadget to apply the cream? What if it's like some special powder to make that cream like get into your skin and like get you all the effects? Like 3 ebooks on how to make your skin better, your nutrition better, your overall like health better, right? So you can amplify the offer that will increase the perceived value, and then you can sell your products even at a higher price. So that's what I would recommend to test.
I love that answer. I think that's an amazing answer. Yeah, because the value is always perception, you know, and there's things that you can add that cost you nothing. Digital products cost you nothing, that you can probably build on ChatGPT in under 2 hours and start fulfilling, and increase the perceived value by like that same amount that you're going to drop the price to anyways. But now the perceived value is even higher. So I love that answer. That's another thing that brands can compete on. You know, you can compete on economics, you can compete on creatives, you can also compete on offer. Stacking all these things together so that it really is a no-brainer. There's so much packed in there that if a customer sees that and they're like, you're telling me I get the product, then I get this, and this, and this, and on top of this, I get this, take my money.
Yeah. And you can use that same principle to improve your average order value. Okay, you're buying one product, you're just getting the product. But if you get 2 products, if you buy 2 products from us, you get X, Y, and Z, and you're getting this, and this, and this, and this. So now, you know, customers looking, okay, so I can buy this product, or I can buy this, like two of the products, and then also get so much stuff for free. So yeah, I'm getting that. I don't remember the name of the company. I think it was BMW or Porsche, where with every purchase that people were making, they were giving them some like special like edition, I don't know, it's like a remote car, some kind of like something that cost them like few $100s, and they increased their sales dramatically because people just wanted that fucking thing. You know, it's like, it's so crazy how people sometimes, you know, they just want like that little thing, and that's why they buying the product, and everything else is kind of like, they don't even care that much about. But that one thing might have the perceived value of kind of like more than the whole offer put together. So you can use the same principles, like you said, to improve the conversion rate, but also to improve average order value and push customers to buy more than one product, which will skyrocket your average order value, will help you to make more money from every sale.
All right, next question. What separates pump and dump products from products that you can build a brand around?
I think a lot of that is mindset. Some people will take the product, will make a few $100,000 with it, and then will just drop it because they stop testing creative, stop testing offers, stop testing lenders, and they think that the product died. And some people will take that same product and build like 8-figure business out of it. That's one part of the answer. Another part is, you know, some products are just like gimmicks. You know, if you're selling like a fidget spinner and it goes like this and then it dies, no one is looking for it, no one fucking needs that product, then it will be hard to make that product sustainable, build a business around it. I personally like evergreen categories. So if you're getting into evergreen category, like you're getting into like beauty, you're getting into health, you're getting into pets, you'll always have product ideas to sell. Like your specific product might not work, but category as a whole and niche as a whole is evergreen. So all you have to do is continue searching for products in that specific niche, and you'll find something that works that you can scale. Okay, so the next question is, would you recommend super high ticket products like machinery?
I don't recommend that you sell products like that. I mean, I see the appeal of like, oh, you sell, you know, one order and that's like $50,000 or $10,000 or something like that. But the long-term brands are mostly built around products that are not high ticket. I don't know how else to say it, but products that are not high ticket typically. And I would classify high ticket in this particular case like over 1 to 2K. I mean, even like, you know, an ice bath, for example, like the really nice ones, they're pretty expensive. I would still consider that like a solid potential product that you could test. But beyond that, the whole high ticket thing is mostly a trend. It's a fad. And, you know, it was around when I initially got into e-com, you know, back in like 2018. There's still people pushing it today. But is it realistic to get your real brand off the ground? It's just not something I'd recommend.
Yeah, and it's so unpredictable. Your conversion rate with those average order values like 0, like 2%, 0, 1, like 1%. So you'd have to get like shitload of clicks and then hope that one of those clicks will work out, and hopefully the person buys the product. And then hope that they will not return that product, because then you're fucked.
Yeah.
Because that one order can just like offset your whole business. We personally like products that are up to like $150, $200, up to that range. You can definitely sell more expensive products, but you would have to consider that it takes a lot more convincing for a customer to buy a product like this. Like your marketing would have to be very dialed in. You would have to like have multiple touch points. You might even need some sales process or someone to pick up the phone and talk to the customer, because they might have very specific questions. Like machinery, you buy machinery, you have specific questions. Oh, does it work if you have X, Y, and Z? Or does it work in this climate? Does it work, like what are the guarantee? Like what are the conditions? So it is very complex, and it's not worth it for most people.
Next question. Why do you drop knowledge if you are successful?
People that will want to look for the answers, like they're not like, I'm not the only person like sharing knowledge. There's a lot of great people, sharing information and knowledge on the internet. For me, it's a way to connect with people. For me, it has opened so many doors for our business. For me, like that helped to bring some amazing people to our company, including yourself. Like we wouldn't have connected if I wouldn't be dropping knowledge. If you didn't join our program, right? Like that just simply wouldn't happen. So all of these things, like if you see the bigger picture with it, because I mean, at the end of the day, we live 70, 80 years old, then we die, right? If I can impact some people along the way and connect with some great people along the way and help like voluntarily, involuntarily, there's people that watching YouTube videos, applying, like changing their lives, like you wouldn't even know about them, right? Then you meet them on the streets, like, hey, thank you so much. That video you made 3 years ago fucking changed my life. That is the best fucking feeling in the world. In terms of competition, people that want to figure out the information, they'll figure out the information. Someone wants to see my ad account, they can see my ad account. There's people that, there's many different ways that like you can find who's running what and what they're doing, what are their strategies. Like there's so many ways for people that are really like looking for that piece of insight. Most people, like you share like everything with them, the whole sauce, and they won't do anything with it. And so for me, it's like impacting those few that like will take action, will change their lives. Hopefully we'll find a way to work together at some point, and just expanding my network, connecting with some amazing individuals.
Yeah, for me, it's, we both made money, quote unquote, in the dark, right? Where there's nobody else around, nobody really knows that we're making the money that we are. Number one, that can get really lonely. And number two, what value are you really adding to the world? Like there has to be some level of personal fulfillment in your life where you're helping those around you. Even if you're like, you're just running your brand and that's it. If you're the guy that's just, getting into e-com, running your brand, you don't tell anybody anything, you're not helping out anybody, like what type of person are you really? I want to be the guy that becomes successful and then helps bring other people up. Like when did that become such a bad thing? I understand the whole competition angle for sure, and you and I both know that has its consequences. But for us, it's a personal sacrifice we make for our mission. Like we want to provide value to the world because it provides us value via personal fulfillment. Like it's really cool to have those people that DM you on Instagram or comment on your YouTube and say, like, dude, if you didn't make this video, I never would have started the business that I did and make the money that I did, or I never would have changed my life. It's cool to make money by yourself. It's much cooler to help other people make money and to help other people change their lives. Because if we didn't exist, both of us, there would be hundreds, potentially thousands, potentially tens of thousands of people that would have not had that breakthrough in life that they did. They would not be making the money that they are. So if we just poof, like disappeared, those people would still be in the same position.
Man, and I'm seeing this, like, it's fucking incredible, like in ESS programs specifically, because, I mean, the results that they're getting are just purely life-changing. Their business is doing, like, millions of dollars per month. And then I remember those same guys, like, those kids, they're, like, watching YouTube video, like, messaging me on Instagram, and I can, like, scroll back through the whole fucking history. That person messaged me, like, 3 years ago. It's like, oh, I'm thinking about starting. And then you see the evolution of that fucking person over the years. And you see how they evolve from this like shy kid to a fucking savage entrepreneur doing millions of dollars per month. Get the fuck out. That is the most like fulfilling fucking thing. Like And seeing those people and like knowing that I was able like to impact them like in some ways. I mean, you see that the same, like I see the comments on your YouTube, fucking people like, like you're already like impacting them so much. It's just incredible. It's like, because they join, let's say they join like one of our programs or just like watching YouTube videos, doesn't matter. Then let's say, they meet someone, right? Like maybe another person who comments, or if they're in the program, they meet someone. They form a relationship, they help each other out, they form their own like community, they become friends, and their business like blow up. And like seeing those like relationships form and people like becoming friends and then the whole like community that we created, like it's just incredible. So, and then also like, yeah, how many doors it opens. Like boom, I have a specific problem, boom, I know like this person knows the answer. I post in the community, boom. Like there's 10 answers, like, oh, I need introduction to this person, boom, no problem. So it just lifts everyone, right? And helps everyone. Oh, it's like, I want to spy on this guy and like do what he does and then they fucking rip him. As long as people don't do it unethically, like if you can contribute to other people, if you already have success in your business, you can help someone out, you can post a fucking video on YouTube, like 20 views. Let's say 20 views, like one of those people like will actually do something and you can impact other people, absolutely fucking do it if you have time for it.
Yeah, the last thing on this, man, is I believe that the universe is a reflection, it's a mirror, and what you give out is what you get back. So if you are that person that's holding all this information, just like clutching onto it like for everything that you fucking have, and you don't want to give away anything, you don't want to help anybody that's at a lower level than you in any way, that's going to come back to you. And the same is true with us when we try to, put out real valuable content. And I believe that comes back to us in whatever spiritual law you want to call it, law of attraction, whatever, it doesn't matter. But what you put out into the world is exactly what you get back. And if you're not willing to put out anything to help, those around you, you're not going to get anything back.
100%. Okay, the next question. Do you hold any crypto?
I do hold crypto. I think we both hold crypto.
That is correct.
And I also think that we both would love to spend more time on crypto because the amount of money you can make is just mind-boggling.
And the amount of money you can lose.
And the amount of money you can lose is also mind-boggling. But I don't know. The way I see it is crypto is a fantastic asset to have. I still believe that like skill acquisition is the name of the game, and you should spend the majority of your time in increasing your active income and not your investment income. Like those are two different things. I would still classify crypto as investment income. Call it what you want, depending on how active of a trader you are. But I like to just figure out how I can make as much money as humanly possible, and then fund that into the crypto, and then watch the crypto grow.
Yeah, and it's also like, I mean, you have to consider like most investments. If that's a good investment class, like on average, like, I mean, crypto is probably like outlier in that case. It can grow pretty substantially, but most assets give you like 10-15% a year, right? Some even lower. So let's say you have $100,000 to your name. Okay, you invested in whatever, like crypto, like it goes like 20% a year, so you made $20,000. You invest $100,000 in yourself, in your skills. Let's say you're making right now like $150,000 a year. Invest in yourself, like in 2 years, you're making $300,000, $500,000 a year, making $1 million a year. You invest in yourself, in your business, like something that can give you exponential returns. Like in life, everything is about like exponential returns, like, and also like with risks that you're taking. Like what could be the exponential return on investment that you can get? Not like gradual works. Like, I mean, if you had $100 million and you invested like at 5% a year, that's $5 million a year. But if you invest like $100,000, that's like $5,000 a year. That's nothing. Like, will not change your life in any way. And also, again, bigger picture in your life. Okay, 5-10 years. Because people are given these like blueprints. Oh, it's like if you spend like $500 a month on S&P 500 and like in like 50 years, if you're fucking alive, hopefully, if dollar worth anything at that point, if you can buy like a fucking piece of bread with like fucking $1 million, hopefully, I don't know, like hopefully everything will be okay. But we don't know those things. But like the return on your skill set, on your earning power, right? Like if you can make yourself hundreds of thousands of dollars per year, if you can build a business that can make millions of dollars per year, that can give you the most exponential returns that you can get. And the amount of people, like I know a lot of people that made a lot of money, was it like 2021, the previous cycle? Many of them have lost their shirt. Like they lost all of the money. They blew, like even if they made millions of dollars, they lost all of it because all of that money, it didn't come with experience. It came with some like luck, right? Like, so they just kind of like bet on something. Oh, hopefully it blew up. They managed to sell it at some point. And so it didn't accumulate the experience at that time. In business, experience is everything. If you know how to build a business, if you've been through all of the stages of building the business, even if the business for some reason doesn't work out or you sell the business, with that experience, you can start another business, even bigger business. And so investing in yourself, in your skills, in the network that you have, in the people that you are connected with is by far like the most exponential return that you can have.
And if something comes fast, it also goes fast.
That's right.
All right, next question. I struggle with procrastination. How would you recommend I deal with this?
People are procrastinating because they have no urgency. If you had the urgency, if something was like massively bad happening to you, like you would have no procrastination. And you're procrastinating because you're in a comfort zone, right? You found a spot where it's like, it's not too bad. Maybe it's not too good. Maybe it's not where you want to be in life, right? And your life doesn't look the way you want it, but it's also not too bad. You have food on the table. You live with your mom. You live, you warm, like your apartment is not fucking freezing. You have money to pay for the electricity, and you have Xbox and you have PlayStation, and you're playing it, and then you can start a business and become successful. But like it's kind of like it's like, and you have Netflix too, $20 per month. Like you have like so much entertainment there. There's not enough pain that was created. Like for me, it was like so painful to work on the factory. So fucking painful to wake up at 4:30 every morning, go to the fucking factory, freezing every morning, like in a fucking public transportation, in a tram, like, and then I hated that so much that I just couldn't stand it anymore. And I think people are in comfort zone where it's good enough. And we live in a beautiful time too. Like, we're not like having physical dangers, like you said. There's nothing really happening. Like, it's kind of like you can have a mediocre life and still do pretty well. Like, you can live your life. But if you have that desire inside of you, and also, again, comes down to the reason why. Like, okay, you want to be successful. And if your reason why is like to just make more money so you can play, PlayStation all day long, right? It's not a big reason why. I think it comes down to how bad you want it. What will happen if you just do nothing for the next 5 years? If you reflect on that, if you really like don't like where you are right now and you fucking scare the fuck out of yourself, that could push you to stop procrastinating. And another aspect of that is environment, but I think you can talk on that.
The procrastination thing, if you're in the position where you're not making the money that you want to make and you're still, let's say like you're making anything under 10K a month, like you're not quite there yet, and you're talking about procrastination, you just don't fucking want it bad enough. There is no other fucking way around it, honestly, because you and I have been in those situations that are fucking painful, and procrastination was the last thing on our fucking mind. We were worried about, for me, oftentimes I was worried about like, I had student loan debt, for example. I wasn't able to make my next payment in college. I was worried about, getting evicted. Even when I was working jobs, I used to work manual labor jobs. And one of them, I'll never forget, I was working for this, he was a commercial pilot and really interesting guy, but he worked me super fucking hard. And what he did is I would work on his yard, which, I'm from Colorado, so the house was on a slant. It was on like a 45-degree slant. And what he wanted me to do is rake the entire yard from the top to the bottom and then get all the shit at the bottom, put it in wheelbarrows, and then bring it all the way up the hill. And I would fill up these wheelbarrows. It was a combination of like dirt, grass. He also had these huge rocks everywhere. I'd put everything in the wheelbarrows. And when I was trying to take the wheelbarrow up, the motherfucker was so heavy that I would get like, 4 or 5 yards and then it would turn and crash and all the shit would fall out and go down the fucking hill. And I did that day in and day out for months on end, and it just drove me crazy. On top of that, the guy was, really difficult to work with. Like, I would do all that, and he'd be like, "You're doing it all wrong. Why would you do it that way?" I was like, "This is what you told me to do." It was quite frustrating, but to each their own. A lot of us have been in that situation where you have to get up knowing that you have to go haul fucking wheelbarrows up a mountain every single day and get paid not a whole lot for it, but you still do it because you really need the money. It's those situations that are so painful that enact change. Like, people think that being in a situation of like where you're angry and you're like angry at the world, that's a bad thing. And anger, if you look at specifically like the level of consciousness that it calibrates at, the way that you get to the next level is through aggression and like actually expressing that anger. So it's really good at inciting action. Like, when you're angry at the world, what happens? There's fucking protests that happen. There's action that's being taken. And if you're dealing with procrastination, you're not at the level where you're so pissed off, you're so sick of where you are personally in your life that procrastination shouldn't even be on your mind. You just haven't hit that point yet, and that's okay. But there is gonna come that time where you're just so sick of where you are that you're willing to sacrifice everything. You're willing to sacrifice sleep, friends, family, food, fucking everything in order to get out of that situation.
And it's like it either will be forced, right? So sometimes, let's say you come to the doctor, right? Let's say smoking cigarettes. The doctor tells you to fucking stop. All right? Come back and smoke again. Smoke and smoke. Years go by. Smoke again. Smoke. Come to the doctor. It's like, hey, my friend, you have a fucking cancer. Now you're fucking forced to fucking stop smoking, right? And so I think sometimes, those situations, they come like, sometimes when we delay those decisions and when we procrastinate, we inevitably get to the point when the life and the circumstances putting us in position where it's basically inevitable that you have to do something about it. It's like you're not making enough money, or you're making barely like enough money to survive, and then you're literally one paycheck away. Like most American people live paycheck to paycheck, right? So if you think about it, it's fucking scary. So if something happens, if they're getting laid off, they're fucked. The credit card debt is fucking historical high, right? Which means people are racking up, they're spending money they don't have. And so if you think about it, like the position that most people put themselves in and delaying that action, let's say they want to start a business to just transition to something else that will give them more freedom, make them more money, or improve their skills so they can make more money, and they delaying that at some point they'll be fucking forced. So, but if you start it now, if you start that journey today, if you just project the future, okay, so what will happen if I don't do any, if I just stay where I am right now for the next 5 years? It's like, fuck, most people will get replaced by AI. We just played today with AI, what that shit can do is just incredible. And just reflecting on the next few years, how the world will change, how your economy will change, how your industry will change, how companies change and evolve. Facebook fires tens of thousands of people. When they need to, boom, tens of thousands of jobs gone. All these big companies firing so many people, they have these cycles every few years. And so these are big companies. What about small companies, right? That just have to let people go because they cannot survive. So I think, you have to kind of scare yourself to the point where it's you can start taking action now, and then in a few years you can put yourself in a very good position, because now you accumulated the skills, you might have a business, you might be in a much more beneficial position overall, because now you have more control over your destiny and over your family life and over the freedom that your family has. And you will either do that voluntarily by yourself, by your own choices, or you'll be fucking forced to do it.
You know how a lot of the really successful ads, a lot of them using advertorials, think of the pet ads that scaled really, really aggressively. It's the fear of your pet dying because of their dog food or fleas or something like that is fear. And in the level of consciousness, the only way to ascend the level of fear is through action. And what is the action associated with fear when you're selling something online? Well, the action is to buy the product. I think that's why the fear mechanism is so powerful in the marketing context. I just thought of that.
Wow, that's a good one. All right, so the next question is, what are the things I should evaluate about myself if I want to become successful?
So I think everything in life is tied by one string. And what I mean by that is if you're trying to be the best that you can be financially and make the most amount of money possible, you should also be trying to get in the best shape as possible. And there's some people that say like, oh, you can't go to the gym and work on your business for 12 hours a day. That's impossible. And to them, I say, I'm fucking proof that it is possible. You saying it's not possible is simply just you projecting your own limiting belief. It's absolutely possible. And like I said, entrepreneurship is just a game of personal growth. That's financial, but that's also physical, that's also mental, that's also spiritual. And so the times where I was grinding on my business, I was also learning about like quantum physics, spirituality, and law of attraction. I was also religiously still training in the gym and going as hard as I possibly could there. Like for those that don't know, 7-ish years ago, I was the same height, like 6'2", but I weighed like 170 pounds. I was a twig, and I hated the way that I looked. I'd look in the mirror, and I would like look at the size of my wrists and my arms, and I'd be like, I look like a woman, basically. I am
pretty tall one.
A pretty tall woman, but incredibly skinny, like comparable to that of a sheet of paper. Like if you looked at me sideways, you'd probably just be able to see right through me. And that really bothered me. So you can do both. Like if you're asking what qualities I need to have, it's just fucking obsessing about being better. Just having that growth mindset. That's really it. There's no secret. It's just wanting to be the best you can possibly be in every area. That includes like your spiritual well-being. Another thing that I would do when I was running my business is I was really, really curious about Christianity. I was raised in a Christian household, but when I went to college, I started having a lot of doubts about Christianity. And so what I did, just because I was curious, is I started calling like my pastor from my hometown, and I'll just ask him these questions about like the history of like Judaism and of Christianity, and just kind of like pick his brain, really just from a place of curiosity. So you should be trying to develop in every area. It's not just trying to make the fuck you money. It's trying to be like the fuck you individual. There's nothing that you can do to me that would ever stop my growth and progression. I'm being my best I can physically, mentally, spiritually, financially. I am unfuckwithable.
I think an important thing to hear, like as you go on this journey of personal growth, the same as with business, like you will inevitably make some mistakes, right? And sometimes you have setbacks. Like even let's say you go to the gym, you have some like injury or something, right? That stops you from training like full force. You just have to get back on track and get on that path again. And on that path again, and on that path again. None of the things that like you think about the business, like I think most people overall like have very skewed kind of like perspective about the business because of how it's communicated on Instagram. Mm-hmm. They think it is like, yeah, I start a business and then I put a few things together, or people even sell these like automated, like we'll build your business for you kind of like, things. It doesn't exist. If you want your business to be successful, you have to be on it. You have to really commit to the business. And then you also have to understand that like as you getting into the business, you will have some setbacks. Not everything will go like out smoothly, but then like at those moments you will learn more about yourself. Like, okay, and if you are like that growth-oriented person, you'll find a way to bounce back. I have met so many entrepreneurs that had some obstacles along the way, and they had some failures and they had businesses that didn't work out. And then you see those same entrepreneurs kind of like emerging and then building even more like successful business. When it comes to yourself, you probably don't know a lot of things about yourself until you start taking some just like mad amount of action. Even when it comes to like just being like self-awareness. Like my self-awareness now is like 100 times more than it was even 5 years ago. Even though I had a business already and I was making like good money, like millions of dollars per year, my self-awareness now, and I realize what I'm good at, what I'm bad at, and also working on those things that I'm bad at. I know that, let's say, these are my deficiencies and I have to improve them if I want to become like a better leader, better person, better entrepreneur. Like that awareness came from making all of these mistakes. I would just recommend not to overthink it too much. If you're overthinking, I want this like perfect blueprint to start a business, or I want this perfect blueprint. Oh, this is like the perfect business for me. Like this is a business that never fails. Or there's no perfect path. And your path also might be different from the path that other people had, because you have your unique abilities, you have your unique talents, right? You have your unique deficiencies that other people don't have. But you can only discover those as you taking action, as you fucking things up, as you learning from those mistakes, and you becoming better. So having that growth mindset and just putting a lot of action, and then based on the feedback that you get, from the market, from the business, from other people, you continuously evolve. And that's the value of, like, let's say, having mentors. Like you said, having people that can give you that feedback. People can kind of like, point you out in the right direction. Okay, so if you continue this way, it probably won't work out. You have to adjust this, and this. And so kind of like gradually deviating. So the business, most people think about it like this, and becoming successful is like constant pass up. But in reality, it's more like this. You go up, then you go down, you deviate, you learn. Now you get to the next level. Then you slow down, you have a plateau, you might even drop down, you deviate, you learn, like you get to the next level. And that's the path that it is for becoming successful. Okay, so the next question is, what's the most up-to-date product research method? Get hooked?
My philosophy on product research is, obviously, you don't want to reinvent the wheel. So testing products that are not proven, that don't have a history of selling, that there isn't some pre-existing demand is a big no-no. If you know your history about marketing and about direct response, one of the universal laws is that mass desire for a product is not created, it's channeled. Mass desire is only channeled. And so you have to find what that desire is already and then channel that to your product. And so we like to test products that are already proven to sell based off of data. So what that means is at least like $300,000 to $500,000 per month in revenue estimated. There's a lot of softwares and tools out there that'll they'll say exactly what revenue this business is making. You can never really know 100%, but you can have an idea based off the traffic that they're driving and doing some like simple calculations of the AOV and conversion rate. That's like standard, absolutely has to be validated, absolutely has to be a product that solves a big problem. I like to say solving a problem in a passionate market, because then you get like that cult-like audience, and you have a problem that solves something that's really, really painful. Because if you're in a situation that's painful, people are much more motivated by escaping pain than running to pleasure. I would actually say that almost all psychology is just running away from running away from pain, because pleasure is simply the absence of pain. Mm-hmm. And so the best strategy for that, like to break it down really tactically, you can use the burner method, which is something I recommend to people, which is, you open up a new Facebook account, you open up a new TikTok account, you open up a new Chrome profile, and you start seasoning that account as if you were a buyer in a particular niche. So perfect example is like the skincare niche. So you go and like 20 different Facebook pages that all have to do with skincare. You go and click on their links. You go to their landing pages. You click on the ads that are associated with them. You like, comment, save, click the link, right? Standard process there. And what that's doing is it's telling the pixel that you are the type of buyer that is really interested in buying a skincare product. And the more that you do that, the more that they're going to identify you as an engaged shopper. And especially if you buy the product, then you're officially like an engaged shopper by Facebook measures. And the reason I think that's the best method is because if you're trying to spy on competitors, that's great, right? You can use Get Hooked to spy on competitors. A lot of the software tools out there, not Get Hooked specifically, but other softwares, like the most successful ads, they're not on there. We know damn well that some of the most successful ads on those ad spy softwares are not on there. That's why we don't do that. But other softwares do. And so when you use the burner method, you can kind of bypass all of that, because then you're actually acting as if you are a real user. And you're actually going to pick up this really good research about, the behavior of the content that these people see, the way that they're thinking, the messaging that's being used, and you get all these little data points when it comes time for you to write your ad, like with Get Hooked, or for you to launch your product. You have such an advantage because you have so many more data points to piece together the copy and the creative and the funnel and everything. That's why I like that method. But just a golden rule: find something that's already validated and reverse engineer the competitor that is successful and apply that maybe with one unique twist, such as like competing on economics, like with a more comprehensive funnel structure, or better creatives, or VSLs or advertorials or something like that, just to really position yourself as the better brand to go with.
100%. One of the things that Get Hooked has that I think is extremely valuable, like even as we do the product research for our own business, is when you see the trend of how many ads particular company, particular brand has launched in the last 4 months. So if you're seeing, let's say, someone, oh, it's like I see these companies, they have this like one ad that they're like spending like a lot of money on. Cool. How many ads they launched in the last 4 months? Oh, they only launched 3, and one of them seems to be working well. Okay, is this really a successful competitor? Or this is just a gimmick that has like one winning ad that will probably die? And so when you are modeling, you want to model the best. You don't want to model another dropshipping store that launched like 20 different products, and then one of them they're trying to scale, but last like 4 months they pretty much didn't launch any ads. You want to launch someone who's launching hundreds, sometimes even thousands of ads per month, so you see they're consistently spending money on ads. So number one, those ads are kind of like worth modeling and learning from. Number two, you see like overall, like in terms of their funnel structure, there's something for you to learn and implement for yourself. Number three, it's like the validation is there. All you have to focus on is like, okay, if they're focusing on this specific angle, maybe I have to focus like on different segment of that market, but they pretty much validated the demand, so you're tapping into existing demand already. You can even position your ads as like, hey, if you bought something like this, like your competitor's product, like, and it didn't work for you based on their worst reviews, you should buy this product instead because it doesn't have those kind of things. So the next question is, at low scale, what does a winning product look like? Will Facebook ad metrics look good quickly?
So this is actually a really complex one. If you want to know whether or not a product is a winner, and you test it on ads, everything always pales in comparison to profitability, right? You test an ad, even if your CPCs, which happens to us sometimes, like $3, $4 in the United States, a little bit expensive, but we're still profitable, then that's still something that is a winner. You're just in a really competitive market, and you got to up your creative game and your targeting game and whatnot. But a product that is a winner is one that is profitable, and it's irrelevant of ad metrics. Now, the ad metrics are what's called like a leading indicator. So it's before you have the profitability. If your CTR is above 3%, your CPC is around like the $1.50 range, and your CPMs are not astronomically high, then you probably have something good. But again, let's say that you spend $1,000 and your CPCs are like 50 cents. Cool, super within KPI. Your CTR is like 5%. Like, holy shit, these are amazing creatives. CPMs like $2, like in the United States. Sales conversion campaign, crazy. And you haven't made a single sale. So like, what is the point of saying, what should, like, does that mean it's a winner if all the ad metrics are within KPI? I mean, you just lost $1,000. So everything pales in comparison to profitability, but the ad metrics are good leading indicators to give you an idea that you have good creatives and something that people potentially want.
100%. Yeah, all of the metrics have to be considered kind of like, you have to look at it as, let's say you're like a pilot, right? So if you're a pilot, you're looking at all of the buttons you have here. You look at the weather, you look at the conditions, you look, let's say when you want to land, you see like how busy is the airport, like when you're getting to, like, so there's multiple different things that you have to take into consideration, multiple things that are happening at the same time. The same is with your business. You're testing the product, you're looking at the metrics on the outside. You also have to look at the funnel, your conversion rate, your average order value, your add to cart ratio, what is the ratio between your front end purchase and your average order value overall in the store, whether you're able to maximize it, whether people are taking the upsells. So all of those metrics have to be considered kind of like in unison if you want to make it, profitable business. Mark, that was a tremendous conversation. I think we added a lot of value, helped people out. And if you guys have any other questions or any feedback for us, just drop it in the comments. And also, any other questions you want us to answer for the future episodes if you like this one. So thank you so much for watching. Apply the feedback we gave you. I want to see your results. Drop it to Mark, drop it to me. And let's keep scaling up. Let's keep growing.